How is everyone on this Tuesday morning? I think is it Tuesday? I think so. I'll be getting my days mixed up. I wanted to come on here really quickly and talk to you guys about toxic people and toxic environments and what do you guys do to remove those type of people out of your life, and then how long does it take you to do it, especially when, and I'm really kind of focusing on people you love. So, for example, if you have um, let's just say a family member you love, your grandmother or your dad, and y'all don't have the best of relationships, or they've done things to you that, you know, you felt, you're like, this is not love. What the hell is going on? You know, how do you guys get through that? And how long did it take? I have some friends that do have issues like that with their family members, the brother, the grandma, the mama, whomever. And I do think it takes a while, especially if it's people you love, to let go, because our society, most of us, believe in forgiveness and, believe in giving people a second chance. But where does that stop with all the chances? So a lot of times when I'm talking to my clients who are in um, relationships that are toxic or workplaces that are toxic. And it doesn't matter what type of relationship. It could be male, female, it could be you and your bestie, it could be you and your baby daddy, it could be you and your employer, your co-workers. We all have to kind of like exist in this world. And to a certain extent, we all got to be, respectful and kind and loving and understanding to a certain extent, because at some point people will take your kindness for weakness. And how do you navigate that? You know, I think it's a murky pool, honestly, to navigate when you love someone or you really like someone and they treat you poorly. A lot of times people want to figure it out. So, like, I'm one of those people, for example, um, if I have some sort of something goes wrong and whatever is going on, right? Something goes wrong and you're mad at somebody, whoever it is. Some people need you to leave them the hell alone, maybe for the next month or next day or next hours or whatever it is. And I'm the opposite. So, for example, like with me and my husband, if he finds something wrong or doesn't like something that I did, so on and so forth, um, he might get angry about something, and then if there's a problem, I immediately want to address the problem. I immediately want to look within, immediately like, I could have done that differently, or maybe I didn't listen. Maybe I heard what I wanted to hear, that type of thing. But he's made differently. He's wired differently than me, right? So, ah, like Jules said, don't have a good day, have a great day. I know that's right. Um, but he's very different, right? So he needs to process that because he's very logical and all of those things, right? Whereas I'm like, I don't want you to be sad, or I want to fix it. I'm a fixer, hence social worker therapist, right? That's my career of choice. So I find that a lot of my clients, they come because of toxic situations that they can't really get out of, because people will stay, in my opinion, it's been my opinion that people will stay in toxic relationships because of longevity, right? So, or because of they're connected by family. So that's my mom, my cousin, my auntie, my grandma, whatever, right? And so it's like you feel this obligation to keep these people in your life, you know, stay in that job a little bit longer. That would be me back in the day. Back in the day, I would be like, oh, I know she's trying to, get me to quit or whatever. I ain't doing that. I'm leaving on my own. You're not going to stop my bag. I'm not going to give you that satisfaction. But that takes maturity. It takes uh, strength to not go smooth off, especially when you know you're not in the wrong. It also takes strength to and maturity to look within and say, could I take a peek and see if maybe I'm contributing to this? And what is my behavior like? I think that's a sign of maturity when you can do that. That being said, how long do you stay at a job when you know that you're being underpaid and not appreciated and whatever else? Especially when you have situations where I got to feed my kids. I can't quit just because I'm mad at the boss. So that's a part of being mature. But in your personal life, how do you handle that? How do you say to yourself, I'm going to set boundaries? So I tell my clients this sometimes. Like, let's say it's a complicated um, scenario, and I think when you talk about people's family, that's what I mean by complicated, right? So it's these decisions you got to make, and the guilt that'll can take you under when something terrible happens. So, for example, you've been going back and forth with your mom or your granny or whomever it is that's causing some sort of disruption in your life or making you sad, depressed, whatever it is, right? So I'll tell my clients, I'm like, listen, if you know you love your granny, but she's toxic and she's 75 and she ain't changing, okay, you ain't changing, sis. You have to take the power back and say, this is what I do. I'm like, okay, what I am going to do, granny, because we all are mortal beings, right? So at some point, death is the great equalizer. We all going to die, right? And once you accept that, then you can move in your life in a more peaceful way and more strategic and methodical way, right? So I tell them, I'm like, take your peace back. One, you got to be assertive, not allow people to, you know, walk all over you, and not be aggressive as well. You got to be assertive. Passive people commit, they unalive themselves, right? Aggressive people unalive others. It is just a fact. You know what I mean? And so a lot of people will be passive about things, or they will be passive aggressive about things, like those backhanded compliments type stuff. And so it's like you feel like, okay, well, maybe I should change, or maybe I do need to look at that. But for me, if it is a complicated relationship, like someone you truly do love, yeah, like your son, your daughter, people close to you, your grandmother, your husband, your wife, I'm like, look, with my grandmother, it was like, I'm gonna come get you. Look, every second Sunday, we going to church, and then I'm gonna take you to, Luby's after or Papa or whatever, right? Because the reason I do it that way is because I know that we ain't gonna be here forever. And if it's someone like your grandmother, nobody wants to be in that regret boat. It could be very overwhelming. It's like, I ain't talked to her because she did this to me or said that about me. And you could be well within your means to not be forgiving and all of those things. You can be. But forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the burden of anger, right? So if you are someone who survived some sort of egregious situation, home life, you know, near death situation, maybe your uncle was molesting, whatever it is, right? You survived it. What do you do with that hatred or what's the right word? I was gonna say demise, but no. The feelings that you get, hurt, frustrated, angry, whatever it is. What do you do with that anger? To me, grief is love that doesn't have anywhere to go. And so that's why people suffer internally or externally, and neither are really helpful to anyone. It's not helpful to the person that's receiving the disrespect. It's not helpful to the people who are being disrespected or the person that is the disrespectful person. It's not. It's actually toxic. And what'll happen is we'll get in these guilt trips where it's like, oh my God, now my mom is gone, or oh my God, this happened to my cousin and we never resolved it. It's not going to help anybody to stay in a toxic relationship. And it doesn't matter if it's at your home, if it's at your job, if it's with your parents, whatever it is. You have to decide for yourself what you want the outcome to be. What do you want your response to be when you inevitably meet with these people again? Because it's very difficult to be like, well, I don't ever want to talk to my mama ever again because she shouldn't have said that to me. Or she shouldn't have chosen, this is a good one, shouldn't have chosen that man over me and my sister and that type of thing. That is deep seated, like bitterness, resentment on the next level, right? And it doesn't have to be that, severe or extreme, but for a lot of people it is. And people don't know what to do because say your grandmother passes away. So now You're in a conundrum. You got all this guilt and you feel conflicted because maybe I should have just forgiven her and moved on. Maybe I should have just put my feelings to the side. And let me just say this. Bullies and people like that, that's what they want you to do. They want to break you down and make you question yourself and gaslight you and all these kinds of things, right? Bullies and those people that you hear say, they'll say stuff like, oh, she's just so sensitive, or oh, he's just so sensitive. That is a dog whistle to try, and it's a way for people who are mean, disrespectful, to get away with their disrespect. All they have to do is say, well, you're just being emotional, or you're too sensitive. No, how about you just don't say rude, disrespectful things to people, and they don't have to then be on guard, right? That's logical to me. But we live in a world full of critics. And my thing is this about critics: critics love to judge you on things that you're doing, and typically they can't even hold a match to you. But that's the way we live in. We love to criticize people, right? Put them in categories and then gang up on them. That's what happens. It just is what it is to everybody at some point in their life. And so you can kind of tell a toxic relationship is because when you try to explain yourself, it becomes an argument. If every time you're trying to explain yourself to your husband or your wife or your, baby daddy, your employer, whomever it is, and they are unwilling to listen, hear you out, try to be objective, look within, take a moment, and they're completely dismissive of your feelings, and then they justify it with, I'm just keeping it real and I'm just being honest, that's the sign of someone who is a bully. They want to be able to do and say whatever it is that they want to be able to do and say to you, and then tell you you're sensitive if you get mad or your feelings are hurt or whatever. It's just like, are you kidding me right now? Like, knock it off, fuck off. But people have been told these myths their whole life. Sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Let's be very clear. Words are the thing that hurt you, not the sticks and the stones. Yeah, you'll remember that time somebody beat you up or you got a whipping from your mom. But what will stay with you for the remainder of your life are those people that made you feel like shit, intentionally on purpose, right? Or wanted to, or the fake people in your life, right? All the people running around on the internet like, my small, my circle is small, and keep circle small. My circle is a dot. You need to be wondering why that is. Why is it that you don't really have any friends? Is it them, or is it you, or is it both? Could everybody do some work? I would say yeah, right? But what happens is people get themselves in these toxic relationships because they're looking at the world and they've been taught based on wherever, whoever raised them or whatever, how to react, how to respond. And some people, they can't be objective. They can't respond in a positive, objective way. They just can't. They like to, um, they like to play the blame game. I'm doing this because you should have done that. That's some narcissistic shit. Be very clear. That's some narcissistic shit where people are like, well, you disrespected me, and then people like to disrespect you and then say you're crazy and being sensitive because you're having an emotional response to their disrespect. That is gaslighting 101 and narcissism 101. They asking you to have some unrealistic, you know, um, to live up to some unrealistic expectation of handling their abuse to you. It happens all the time. That's why I say it's a bully tactic. How many bullies get mad at you for going and tell the teacher that they bullying you? Then they get the society, the other kids in the class, right, so to speak, to join in. And now they hate you too. And see, it can't just be me because all the other mean kids hate you too. That's what happens in this life. So you have to figure out, what do I want my response to be? Because it's inevitable. Everybody is bullied by someone at some point in their life. If it ain't happened to you, it's just keep on living. It's gonna happen. And that's unfortunate, you know. But and I think nowadays with social media, listen, people can get on a platform, and people do actually get on platforms and just decide that they want to terrorize other people, which is ludicrous. And this is the thing that's crazy to me. So it's never occurred to you how you felt when someone treated you poorly? That didn't occur to you that you've been treated poorly by someone in your life, and that you treating this other person poorly, it's the same thing. It's just you have an opportunity to do it. And just because something is your right, because people will get on here and be like, well, it's my right. I can say whatever my opinion is, and it's the truth, and da da da. It can be the truth. What you're saying to someone can be the absolute truth, but it doesn't make it right. It's your right to say all kinds of bullshit, but does it make it right? No. So, and I always say you got to guard your heart. But like I said, getting back to the complicated, situations and circumstances that people fall in. So what happens is you have a person you love clear, near and dear to your heart, like I said, a grandmother or a husband or whatever, and you want to have that person in your life, right? Because you love them, and society says if they're family, you should, be a rider. I'm gonna tell you this. I feel like the friends that we encounter in life are some of the best relationships, and a lot of times it's much better than your family relationships because you came into a family, right? And so, like I said, our society says to people, you got to just, no matter what, you got to get those people's back, and they can really treat you however. And even when they treat you however, you still better get they back if something else happens, right? Which is ludicrous and backwards, right? So it's like, I'm not gonna allow you to treat me that way. But when it's complicated, emotional state, lots of people, so emotions don't travel in rational channels, good or bad, right? So the scenario could be, I just met this guy and he's paying me attention, and, we just moving really fast, quick, fast, and hurry down the road. We're going to, be in a relationship. Maybe we having sex the first night, whatever it is, right? That's an emotional response to something you like, but it's a very dangerous one because you ain't really thought about it. You're being impulsive, right? And that's a consequence of being an emotional human being. We all have emotions, right? But I think more people would probably relate more to the negativity of it all, right? So this person did me bad, so now I can hold on to all the things they did, and I can justify why I'm mad at them and why I can't forgive them. And again, remember what I said. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the burden of anger, right? So let's say you were molested by your uncle. Nobody believed you, or you never told nobody, whatever the case may be. If you resent them and hate them and they were wrong, and I agree, 10 toes down over here, it ain't changing. Every time you see them, every time you think of them, you're going to have a response. You are, right? We have a response to everybody that we encounter, good or bad. I'm not saying that you don't have the right to be mad because that's an egregious act for someone to sexually assault you, right? We all could agree on that. But you have to figure out, okay, well, that's the case, but how do I want to respond to when I see this person? Maybe your husband was cheating on you, right? That's a difficult mountain to climb, and people will be like, leave him and whatever else, or your wife or whomever it was. People want to work it out and everything, and that's fine. And you're angry and resentful and you're mad. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be all of those things because those are natural responses when you feel violated, right? And I'm not here, and I don't think on any day we should think we have the right to police people's feelings. Stop telling people you need to move on and you need to get over it. No, you need to move on and you need to get over it. Don't come over here trying to micromanage my uh, feelings and my anger and how I deal with my grief. It's none of your business. Mind your business. There's no right way to react or respond, really, to when you're hurt. So if someone's crying because they were hurt, if someone's angry because they were hurt, whatever it is, it's a natural response. But I'm saying we have to make a decision on how we want to respond when we think about how someone has violated us, or we have broken promises, on and on and on, right? We have to make a conscious effort to say, how do I want to live my life? Do I want to live my life always regretting that when that person died, that man, I should have done something else. So, like I was saying, I tell my clients, I'm like, look, I go pick up my grandmother and I'll be like, look, 3 times a month, I'm gonna come pick you up. We're gonna go to church and we're gonna go to Luby's or wherever, because I'm deciding for myself that if something was to happen to my grandmother, and my grandmother has passed, but if something was to happen to her, I don't want to feel guilty about or think about all of the times that I just decided I'm not talking because I'm mad at her. And like I said, we can justify it all day long, but what do you want your outcome to be? You have to figure that part out. And your emotions can keep you down. You just have to make a timeline and say to yourself, how long am I going to give my energy? And how many more times am I going to give someone else my power before I wake up and say, this is not okay? And that's what I was talking about being assertive. Being assertive means that I'm not going to disrespect you and I'm not going to allow you to disrespect me. That's what being assertive means. Um, and a lot of people are not that because they think only with their emotions, or they start there. That's their starting spot, with their emotions. It's just a fact. A lot of people have that struggle, and then society tells you keep it all in. Oh, that girl, they said that last year. Why you still harping on that? Because I'm an emotional human being, and so are you. And you trying to tell people to push it all the way down. Listen, I always tell my clients, I'm like, look, oh, thank you. Says I have good teeth. I always try to tell my clients, like, um, we all have a little trauma center in our own in our own mind. We pack stuff away in that damn trauma center that I'm talking about. We pack away, you know, um, hurt, pain, sorrow, feelings of disrespect, regret. Like, we all have all kinds of things that are down there in that basement that we have, that we keep alive, honey, and pretending that we're doing well and we're doing good. Think about how many people you run into in a day and you say, hey, how you doing? And people say, good. Lies. Your husband is cheating on you. That ain't good. Your child is over here on the verge of, going to prison. That ain't good. You done lost your job, or they trying to, wear you out at your job so you'll quit. That ain't good. So allow people to have their feelings. You shouldn't be trying to micromanage it, and you shouldn't be trying to tell people they need to move on and get over it. Because everybody should have the right to grieve whatever it is in the way that they want to. And so, like I said, it's going to be different for everybody. But for me, I know that this life is fleeting, meaning it's not going to be here before we know it. We're going to be dead and gone. It just is what it is. And you have to decide, what do you want that dash to represent? That dash in between your birth date and your expire date, that little dash that they have, what do you want to be in that little dash? Do you want it to be bitterness? Do you want it to be hatred? Do you want it to be resentment? Do you want it to be, I never, I was a people pleaser, so I never got the respect that I gave others, that type of thing? What do I want? Do I want to regret that most of my life I was alone because I wasn't, you know, ex- gonna accept disrespect from people, or whatever the case may be? Our society tells us to do that all the time. And when I say that, it's true. It's just the truth. Our society mandates. Like, for example, most people that work a 9 to 5, let's just say some sort of professional job. And even if you don't, then this scenario is even worse. But think about how our society thinks about grief, right? So my mom passed, right? Or my grandmother passed, or whomever, fill in the blank, right? And so our society says, you are lucky to get 5 days off, because I guess 5 days or 3 days, if you're at McDonald's or somewhere like that, that's the golden standard. 5 days to grieve the passing of your parent. Are you serious? And then you need to get back in here and hustle. And I get it, from a business standpoint, the business must go on. But again, who is ready to go on after they just buried their mama 5 days ago? That's ludicrous. But our society has told us we also got to look at people crazy if they still, working through it. Why are you still mad? That happened 20 years ago. Because I have feelings, right? Because I'm working through my shit. Because maybe I don't have any support. Because maybe I'm walking around like the world isn't cruel and a dark place sometimes. Because I don't want to, tell everybody how I really feel. because I fear losing these people that I care about. So I'll just keep it in. And like I said to you guys at the beginning, passive people, they unalive themselves. It just is what it is because they let people walk all over them. Because that's what our society has told people that they have to do. Just hush, just put your head down and just go in and get what you need to go and then go back to your life, right? Aggressive people unalive other people. Both sets of people don't understand how to process their emotions. One set is saying, I'm just going to allow you to do whatever to me because I don't want no issues. It's no point in me fighting back. And the other, the aggressive person, is like, oh no, you're not going to do that. It's still, it's still wrong. But it's the logic that our society accepts. Hey, my love. Hey, boo. It's the logic that our society accepts. How dare you still be emotional about what happened to you as a child? Well, if I didn't get over that shit, allow me to, have my feelings. Lots of people walk around in this world like they're invincible. And like I said, we put on that magical armor that no matter what someone says, when I see them, when they ask me how you're doing, the canned response is, I'm doing good. And the reality is, a lot of us are not anywhere near the pendulum of good. But we put on our armor. We do things that we think that are semi helpful, like pray, exercise, maybe try to make a life change, whatever it is. We do those things, but then we don't support when people are down. We actually kick each other when they're down. A lot of people do, because like I said, they sit in this this judgment zone. But my thing is, please be perfect before you criticize me. That's all. It's just please be perfect. And be sure everybody falters. We all have said some shit to people or disrespected someone directly or indirectly or whatever it was. We could all do better. But our society says keep it all in and suffer. If you try to bring out your emotions, then we're going to torture you. How dare you tell someone you got to respect me? And that's mean. And and they tell you, well, you're just being sensitive. Again, that is in my opinion, the excuse of bullies. You're taking it the wrong way. You're taking it the wrong way, type of thing. No, maybe you should take a moment and say, could I have handled that better? What could I do better next time? You know? And a lot of times people have a very big problem with self-awareness. We all have that problem at some point in your life where you don't see how you come off or those people don't think they've done anything wrong. Listen, it's lots of times where people are just, listen, they are just literally getting by the skin of their chin. You ever had a person at your job or wherever it was, and they don't know that your life is a whole ass wreck? You're living in your car, whatever it is the issue is, right? Your children about to get taken away, your children already got taken away, whatever it is. We all go through a struggle, right? Financial and otherwise. And you are doing everything. It took the strength of Job, honey, to get out of the bed this morning and keep it together and still smile at your children, knowing you don't know how you're going to pay your rent or the car note. Do I have gas money? Whatever else. People walk into an office every day and say that they're good when they really are not. And if we could be more understanding that it's okay and allow people to say, you know what, how are you really doing? Well, we don't want to do that. How many of us have met a person or been in a room, been at the job or wherever it is, an event, and you know something's wrong with this person? And the moment you say, hey, are you okay? They immediately go into the ugly cry. We all been there. I've been there. It's like it's taking everything in you to hold this shit together because y'all don't even know what the struggle was. How many times in college did I say, you know what, I quit life? Y'all didn't give me my Pell Grant on time. I'm trying to pay my rent. I quit life. I've done that a few times in life. It just is what it is, you know? But we have to mature past that and we have to be more accepting. Sorry. We have to be more accepting of people, allowing allowing people to be who they are without criticism. That's not to say that you can't tell somebody they have a blind spot, like you don't see yourself, or you respond this way or that way or whatever it is. Of course, you should tell people because we all need to do better. All of us. We're not perfect beings, right? So all of us can learn something from the other people. But you can't learn anything if you're not listening or willing to at least hear those people out and say to yourself, hmm, okay, maybe I could. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of self reflection. That's hard to do when you're just trying to survive. It's hard to do. But even if you wasn't trying to survive, our society as a whole, I think, have a very big problem with self reflection and being able to, say, you know what, maybe I could have made a different decision. Maybe I could have treated that person differently. Maybe I could have just listened. Maybe you know, fill in the blank with whatever it is. We have to keep ourselves together. I agree with that wholeheartedly. You can't be falling apart every day at work and woe is me all the time. You can't, because society ain't gonna let you. But I think it would be helpful if our society could say, you know what, this person is down or they're out down on their luck, and you know, just have a helping hand instead of a critical one. Because it's interesting to me, like when people are so quick to, judge someone. Why are you in this situation and you getting food stamps and you spending your money reckless and yada yada yada? You don't think those people know they being reckless? They don't need you to tell them. Let them people live. Let them live. You want to live? I enjoy being who I am. Therefore, I'm gonna let you be who you are. Okay, good or bad, I'm gonna let you be who you are because I like being me. So it is what it is. You can take it or leave it. But that doesn't mean just because you take it or leave it with me that I don't have room for growth. We all should be learning something from everybody each day, whether that's to listen more and speak less, whether that's to speak up when you don't feel like speaking up or you're scared to speak up because it could lose you your job, or you scared to speak up because if you say something about how your husband, boyfriend, baby daddy, whomever it is, mama, daddy, how they're being disrespectful to you or how they're treating you, then you overreacting and you having a bad response and you just this, that, and the third. And it's like you want someone to value your opinion, but you don't want to value theirs, good or bad. And we always want to justify. I struggled with forgiveness for a minute because there's been a lot of shit that has happened in my life that really is unfortunate. And I could go on and on for the rest of my life and still not tell you my whole ass life story. You'd be like, oh my God, how did she survive that? I would always say I survived by the grace of God for the most part. But I would say I survived because I have something called tenacity. I have a natural drive. I have natural ambition. I don't want to be at the bottom. I don't honestly want to be able to, I don't want to have to hope that I can sit at your table. I'm making my own damn table. Fuck you mean? Of course I'm making my own table, my own rules and whatever else. That's what you should do. I feel very strongly about this. Why are we running around the world being copies when God made us an original? Like, catch it. You're an original. Why are we signing up to be disrespected by people who don't give a shit about us and take it? That's what, think about at your job, right? People get hired and they don't want you to share your salary because then it's like they feel like it's going to be okay, I'm not going to say that. They don't want you to share your salary because they're afraid that then they're going to have to pay other people your salary or vice versa. They don't want you to band together. Another crazy backwards thing is they want to fire you, and I'm going off on a tangent now, but it just gets me with this one. They want to terminate you, and then at your termination meeting, they want to say you shouldn't say anything about what people did and why your work performance was whatever. You should just take it as a learned lesson that someone, is firing you in a graceful manner. Like, what you mean? I still got a car note in the house. Now, what you talking about? Like, girl, like, let's not do that. I'm supposed to be happy and I'm not supposed to go put a review on whatever website to say this is a effed up job and I took this for so long or whatever else. No. If people could be honest and say, I'm not paying my worth, and if you can't pay me my worth, I'm sorry, I'm not receiving my worth, and if you don't think I'm worth it, then I got to move on. My husband kind of encouraged me that I've watched him over the years uh, be in roles where I remember one year he was like, I need a raise, and he knew what kind of raise he needed. He knew his worth. And I would say, I hate generalizing people, but I would say men get this right way more than women, in my opinion, and I'll explain why in a minute. But he was like, nah, y'all gonna try to give me a 2% raise? No. Let me go ahead and put my resume out to whomever because I know my worth. Meanwhile, women like me, because I've been that woman where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could ask for 80,000. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? But one day I woke up and I'm like, of course I can. I'm qualified, I'm educated, I'm intelligent, I'm knowledgeable, I have experience. Why the hell am I not gonna ask for what I want? And I remember I was telling one of my old coworkers when I worked at St. Joseph's Hospital in the psych department because they laid everybody off. I used to work there. We all worked there. And I remember telling her, like, she's like, yeah, they wasn't paying me enough, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, I know it's scary to be like out there on a limb and be like, well, I just would like to know if you would, pay me. This is the salary I really want. I really want to make $40 an hour, let's just say hypothetically. But I'm scared that if I ask for that, then there's a chance that they're going to move on to this next candidate. When in reality, they're giving you the base and seeing how you're going to respond to it. Are you going to take it? It's sort of like having, for lack of a better, having a cheating spouse. You find out they cheating on you, and then they just like, okay, well, she, she gonna put up with it. She took me back, or he put up with it. He took me back. But we teach people how to treat us. So my advice is ask ask for what you want, and if they don't give it to you, make a plan and reevaluate, and go back and do whatever. But I always, every single job I've ever had, since I would say I'm 30 years old, I've always done a rebuttal. And it's hard to do that because I think one of the worst human emotions is rejection. That's hard. It's hard to feel rejected by people you like or people you admire or whatever, fill in the blank. It's hard to feel rejected by people you love, like your mama, your daddy, whomever else. That happens in life, believe it or not. I've worked with so many families and so many people that have done egregious shit to their kids. This is what it is. But yet their kids still love them and they're still looking for that validation. And people will say these like buzz things like, oh, don't be looking for people's validation or, celebrating you and this, that, and the third. We're naturally wired for all of the people that's like fake woke. We're naturally wired to want to be accepted. It's a natural thing. Who does not want to fit in? That's how we're wired. We're wired to, on some level, not to your own detriment, but on some level, to want someone to care, family or not. That's how we're wired. But then our society tells us, well, you shouldn't worry about if some people don't like you. That's absolutely what you're going to worry about. You feel some type of way about how you're treated. Do you feel like your job not paying you right? It's a power move. They don't have to. I remember I used to be a clinical director, and I remember when I was um, negotiating my contract or whatever, the lady came in with, in my opinion, like, oh, we can pay you. We've gotten together the numbers, and we feel like we can pay you 93,000 a year. And the old Chanel would have been like, oh my God, so excited, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But the old Chanel would be so aggressively excited and whatever and would have took it, right? But the new Chanel since then, it's like, yo, I know my worth. And I can tell you this, it's a different conversation when you truly do have the credentials, the experience, the knowledge, and whatever else is the requirements. Now I'm the hot commodity. I still have people calling me and emailing me today about, hey, you gonna do this? But I was saying that about that offer, the low ball offer, because I know what it's going to take to be a clinical director. I just do. So you're not going to give me 5,000 things to do and watch me fail. We're not doing that. She doesn't. She's not going to set herself up for failure. And sometimes they ain't gonna give it to you. Sometimes people aren't going to give you what you need from them, and that's when you have to realize I got to move on. Doesn't mean I don't love you. Doesn't mean I have to kick you out of my life and this, that, and the third. It just means I value myself and my peace more than I do this relationship with you. It just is what it is, right? And like I said, those people didn't want to give my husband his raise. He was like, "All right, well, just understand, I'm probably gonna have a good job," and they know it. And guess what they did? I will never forget. He came home and he told me, he was like, my supervisor went to HR and was like, "Well, can you give him a portion of my salary?" That's how good it was. He's like, "I know, I'm confident. I know what I'm doing." They went and got his money. You have to, I think, in that type of scenario, well, really, even in life, you have to train yourself to accept the rejection that you're gonna get from people, whether you love them or not, whether they're close to you or not. You have to train yourself how to take that rejection. It's not always personal. It's not always somebody's out to get you. But how do I want to think of myself with how I respond to our society teaching everybody to have toxic behavior when it comes to my doorstep? What do I want to do? Do I want to pop off? Do I want to say, yeah, I got this and I got that, and you could never? Or do I want to try to understand? Why do you feel that way? That's how I am. I'm a person that starts from a place of yes. So if I can help you, I'm gonna help you. That's just who I am. I'm very altruistic. It just is what it is. I'm aware that I can't help everybody, but if I can help you, I'm gonna help you. But I think as women specifically, it's just my anecdotal opinion, I think as women, we downplay it. We accept shit because our society says we should. It's a double standard and we won't even go down that street. But that's exactly what goes on in this world. So what I do know, I believe in God. I know lots of people believe in other things. And I believe in God because that's what I've known my whole life. Right. And this might sound cocky, but it is what it is. I feel like I'm the daughter of the highest king. So you could try to tear me down and take me down or whatever it is, but you got to deal with the vengeance of my dad, my father, right? You already gonna have to deal with my husband because he'd be like, "Come see about me, about my wife. We don't play those type of games." Like, real talk. So, um, so you have to learn. Okay, what do I want my response to be when people are trying to hold me down and make me feel a certain way or tell me, I don't deserve this and this is why we can't pay you this amount or whatever it is that people, love to do to tell you about how you should do it and this is the way you should think and this, that, and the third. You should always be thinking to yourself, are my actions detrimental to myself, my loved ones, and anyone else in the world? If it is, you probably need to rethink your actions. And it is okay to apologize and say, you know what, I was wrong in that scenario. And it might take you, 3 years to figure out that you were wrong and that maybe you should apologize. Some people, it don't take them that long. I'm one of those people. If I feel like, if someone says to me, you hurt my feelings or you did this, this, and this, I first want to understand, hey, when did I do that? You don't have to remind me because my ass be forgetting. My husband be like, yeah, you ain't gonna remember. He right. I would say this. This is in my opinion, a beautiful part of who I am. Is I made a decision when I was like 12 years old. Like I'm not gonna allow someone else and their opinion of me to change how I think of myself. And so for me, I'm like, I'm not letting nobody steal my power. So around 12, 13 years old, I was just kind of like, I'm not giving anybody that power. So when you make me mad or I'm angry, I'm sad about it, whatever it is in my feelings, I'm only going to give you so many minutes. And for me, it's 30 minutes. Now, there are things that are going to go beyond that, right? Tragedy and, things like that. But I'm going to need some more minutes, okay? And another day, maybe a week, whatever it is. We all have, that. Something happens to all of us that affects us differently. So we can't apply how something affected me and how I was able to deal with it. You can't apply what you are able to do and overcome to others. And I use this example with my clients too, especially like in families when someone dies. People have this they have this thing in their mind of like, this is a timeline of when you can get through your grief or whatever it is you got going on. They even put a timeline on your emotions, right? Just like I was telling y'all earlier about the job. Yep, your mom died. You buried her 3 days ago. You need to bring your ass back to work. That's the logic of a lot of employers, and they standing on it. They ain't changing it. Why? Because we accept it. It's not logical to think that someone should be past their mom passing in 3 days. And then some companies say, like, we ain't even gonna pay you to put them 3 days. Let's keep it a buck. But I digress. So you got to say to yourself, okay, well, I'm not going to allow people to treat me this way. But if they do happen to hurt my feelings or whatever it is, we all have hurt someone's feelings at some point or disrespected someone at some point. So that's why I say, be perfect before you judge me. But again, how do I want to respond to this type of scenario when it happens to me? Do I want my response to be like with children that are my clients? You know, they lost their dad or their mom or whatever it is, complicated grief, which is usually something like someone got unalived by some other person. It's the M word. That's complicated grief because not only did your loved one die, they died in such an egregious way, and you will never understand, no matter what they tell you the reason was why you took their loved one. People ain't gonna understand it, and it's understandable that they ain't gonna understand. But like I would tell them close their eyes, think of their most, happy time with that loved one, and I would suggest let that be for at least right now the memory that you think about when you think about your father that passed or your mom or your granny. Think about those things. It'll help you get through. It's not going to cure it. Grief to me is lifelong. We all get triggered, right? That's how I know that it's lifelong. And that's how I know everybody has emotions because we all get triggered by something at some point, whatever it was, from the boy that didn't like you in high school or, the 15th time you try to apply for a job and they keep rejecting you or whatever it is, right? You didn't get the loan that you needed for your house. We all going through it. And I'm just saying, if we could just show some grace to our fellow man, then our society could be better. It's not going to be perfect. Like I like this part, and I love Tupac. But in one of his songs, he says, I think it's the song Changes. He says something like, um, "How could a brother kill me if he's close to me?" What he was really saying is, in our neighborhoods, in our world, we're highly it's high it's a higher level of confidence that you'll unalive your friend in your neighborhood because y'all are close. You're gonna have to think about it a little longer about, oh, okay, I'm maybe why would I want to do that to somebody I'm close to? But because in our society we are so disconnected and we're cool with being disconnected, we telling people you don't have to have more than one friend and this, that, and the third. And I'm not saying you should do whatever makes you happy, whatever is comfortable for you. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just don't want you to come over here and tell me that I need to apply your one dot circle to me. I like having people around. I like being around people. And my people like me. It just is what it is. I mean, what's there not to like? Just it is what it is. No, but seriously, stop allowing other people to determine and manage your emotions and your feelings. You have the right to express how you feel. A lot of times, anger, it's like a ice. What do they call it? A iceberg. People exploding in anger, from my standpoint, a lot of times, just because I'm a therapist and a social worker, is what we don't see under that's under the water. You know that part that they show you in those pictures about they only see this part, they don't know how big it is. What I see underneath that anger, underneath that, you know, probably unprofessional response or whatever type of negative response you have, what I see when I see anger under that is like fear, heartbreak, um, uncertainty, all kinds of things are going on underneath, but all people see is your response. So they only see what's at that type of that ice, the top of that iceberg. They don't know about all of the things that make you feel inadequate, or all the times that you feel like you failed in life, or how many times you had to, you know, like I said, borrow money because you don't have gas money, whatever it is. You got a sick parent. I can tell y'all, listen, I told my audience, I've been sick. I was sick for like 3 years, mad as hell at God. Like, how dare you? Do you know that I'm around here trying to save people's life? Giving them therapy and, you know, being a social worker for so long. Like, I don't understand. Why am I sick? Just pissed me off when I think about the people in the world that are deviants, just reckless. Like, people like Peter, is my opinion. Is what I'm saying, is what I'm getting at. You have people like that running amok. And I'm the one that needs to be sick and have, you know, whatever health issues. But the Bible says, you know, God reigns on the good and the bad, the good and the bad. It just is what it is. It just depends on where you are at the time. But that's difficult when you're like, don't know what's wrong with you. You don't have a diagnosis. You pissed, you're in pain, whatever the thing is. But I remember when I was going through all of that, it seemed so unfair. Like, oh, I'm so mad and angry about this, right? Because I feel entitled that I shouldn't have to go through this because I put in my work, so to speak. And in reality, at the end of the day, this is my opinion of what God was trying to show me that I couldn't see for those 3 years that I was sick, is that He was going to show me later that He is and always will be on the throne. He is my saving grace. So I've told lots of people that, you know, I had a house fire. I was asleep in my house, and my I left some oil on, and my kitchen was ablaze when I finally woke up because I went to sleep. My husband's 22,000 miles away or wherever in Manila. He can't even get to me. It's a 12-hour flight just to probably get to France. It's a 22-hour flight to get back here. I shouldn't have woken up. Why? Why do I know that? Because I was taking Ambien because I couldn't go to sleep, so my doctor prescribed me Ambien. So I know that there is no reason I should have woken up. We all know that they always tell you smoke will kill you way before the fire gets to you. So there's no reason I should have been knocked out, and I should have died of smoking inhalation. You know what I'm trying to say, from inhaling the smoke, the carbon monoxide or whatever. I should be dead, right? But that sobered me up that God has a reason for me to be alive. I clearly still have something to give to this world. It's hard to believe in that when you are in the midst of it all and you can't see the light. I always tell my clients, I'm like, when you can't see the light in the dark, you're the light. Turn yourself on. Find your way out this darkness, and stop going down the same road, falling in the same hole that you saw last time with old boy or whomever it is. Fill in the blank with the people that you allow to disrespect you or treat you poorly or whatever it is. You just have to kind of say, I'm going to give myself some grace and I'm going to move on. And so in my anecdotal case, it opened up my mind to I should stay and I should give it another try. I should trust God again because I was pissed. I was sick for 3 years, constantly in pain, no diagnosis. And then now I'm not. Now, why I had to go through all that pain, I don't know. Whatever. But I can tell you this: once I was out of that fire, I realized, like, yo, God got some people protecting me. Some angels is what I say, protecting me. And it's easy to get caught up in your emotions, especially if you are already an emotional person. It's harder and more difficult to be stoic. And that's why I was saying, when, all of us have had that person or been that person where um, you come in to the office or they come into your office and you are sitting on, if someone say one word, I'm going to break down and cry right here, right now. You got to hold it together because you're at work. You need to be professional. Again, societal dumbness. The well-meaning morons, I tell you that. But yeah, I've been that person where I was just on edge. Somebody's like, "How are you doing today?" Or "Are you okay?" That's the one that'll really take your ass out and have you an ugly cry. "Are you okay?" You're like, "No." Stop me when I'm lying about something, because our society says hold it all in. You got to be strong. I don't want to be strong. That's why I was mad at God. I was like, "Look, I ain't got no more strength. I don't want to be strong right now. I need someone else to be strong." You know. And with all that being said, you know, God will, at least my experience is, I feel like God will put scenarios in front of you that you have no choice but to figure out and realize that he's still protecting you even if you don't feel like that's what's going on at the time. It just is what it is. I remember this one job I had some years ago, and this lady had pursued me for like 3, 4 months, right? Come on, Chanel, we really want you to come over here. They didn't want to pay me. So then I'm like, you can't pay me my price. It is what it is. I know my worth, right? And I was so excited about that job. And, it's right up my alley. I have all this autonomy, whatever, right? And I won't even get into all of it, but they basically laid a trap. You know how some people, they no longer. I'll say this for my supervisor at the time, the director. She bit off. She offered me way more than she could chew, right? And so then it's like, damn it, I told her this and I promised her that, and now I can't. Now it's hurting. It's impeding me, and I'm having to do this and do that and so on and so forth. But she knew what she was getting to begin with. I'm knowledgeable, I'm intelligent, I'm smart, I'm happy. I'm really a very upbeat, positive person. But they snaked me and did some shady shit, right? And this is what I mean by, listen, my daddy, I'm the daughter of the highest king. So all that they did to try to like fire me and then not let me have unemployment and all this kind of shit, and it got reversed because. And then they had another meeting, and the unemployment people reversed it again in my favor because I'm like, y'all sitting up here on this thing lying. Stop it. Where's your proof? But anyways, long story short, I remember I was in school at the time, and I had to have an internship, and I was working full time, right? And I was sick too. And so I'm working through all of that. And I remember, you know, we're going to Dubai, me and my husband, we're going to Dubai. And this is petty as hell. So don't do this. But I just listen, it made me feel good. So I did it. It is what it is. And I'm proud of it. And I know I shouldn't be. But when I went to Dubai, on my way back or when I got back home, I sent the HR director, the assistant, everybody that was at that table that was, in my opinion, snaking me and making up shit that isn't true or trying to catch me up in some sort of thing. When I have integrity, you're not going to catch me up on that. It just ain't going to happen. And I sent them all my beautiful pictures and the whole email to the whole HR department, to my director, the employees, everybody, right? I'm like, what you meant for my bad is my good. Because now you call yourself stopping me. All you did by making it difficult for me, and firing me, or what did they say? We are, what did they say? It's something, we're doing away with your position, or some mumble jumbo jargon of like, you're not really getting terminated. It was just, you're eliminating your role. That's what it was. And I sent them every kind of picture of me and my husband and all the fun we were having and video clips. And I'm like, thank you so much. Thank you so much for trying to take me down. But this is how my daddy worked. Okay? You thought you was gonna take me down. I'm like, yep. I flew first class, me and my husband, to Dubai. Had a great time in Dubai. So what happened, and this is what I said in the email, what happened was you thought you were stopping something, and all you did was put it into overdrive. So I graduated faster, sooner than I would have been if you had kept me at your job. If I would have stayed and thugged it out, I finished my internship quicker. And now I'm sitting over here in Dubai chilling while you at work. What did Neek say? What she say? I'm on Broadway and you're at home. And I'm not saying that to be cocky, but I just had to let them know you guys are over here hatching a plan. I feel this way. When you plot revenge or you plotting on somebody else, dig two graves. You're not gonna get away with it. It's gonna come back to you in some way. Which is why I feel like I stay winning. And that's not a flex. What I mean by that is there are people on this earth that aren't gonna like me or treat me poorly, whatever it is. It's not stopping over here. So you meant all of this to try to tear me down and make me feel whatever it is. Because we quote unquote terminated her. When in reality, all you did is help me with a come up. So what you meant for my bad was God worked out for my good. Yeah, y'all helped me do better, quicker. I appreciate it. That's why I was saying, shout out to y'all. Thank y'all. Whole HR team, the director, and everybody else that was fighting. Mhm. Thank you. I appreciate it. A lot of times when that something like that happens, it can leave you very devastated. It's just like you're clueless. And imagine if they had done that and I had, 3, 4 kids to feed and I didn't have a husband and all that kind of stuff. That's why I say, listen, my people, we know how to overcome. We can overcome, okay? We can rise like a phoenix out of adversity very easily because we already been there and done that. We just got to help each other and build each other up instead of constantly trying to tear each other down because we haven't wised up to the plan in society, which is to just simply criticize people within an inch of their life. Not saying that we should never criticize. Obviously, a whole bunch of people need criticism. They need to fix their shit and all of that. I'm not saying that. But but what I am saying is you have to figure out how do you want to respond to negativity or to toxic people or toxic environments. You shouldn't be responding to people trying to tear you down by trying to tear them down. Let them tear their whole whatever down. You're not dragging me down in the gutter with you. You're not. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna watch you tell me how I ain't gonna do this and how I ain't gonna do that, or not tell me anything at all, but just wishing that I ain't gonna make it. Just hoping you got to me. Mm-mm. You ain't stopping shit over here. You know, I stay winning because I have a winner's attitude. Like, obviously, I'm not happy at every moment of every day, but I do my best to try and keep treat people with kindness, dignity, and respect, even when they don't treat me that way. Because to me, that's about them, not about me. How you treat others is about who you are, not who I am or who they are. It's up to you. It costs nothing to be kind. It costs absolutely nothing to be inclusive. It costs absolutely nothing to not bully people. It costs absolutely nothing to, try to help your brother be supportive on and on and on. Fill in the blank. It don't cost you nothing. If we could lead with that type of, attitude that, yeah, my life isn't perfect and I probably do need to, do some internal thinking and reflection. If we could just hold each other's hands doing that, we could do better, you know. But like I remember one of my favorite cousins, and I'll say this, and then I gotta go because I gotta have a session with my client. But I remember one of my favorite cousins. Just love her. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. She's funny. She's just a ball of joy. Love, love, love. She's super supportive. Super supportive. Love her. And I remember there were some years ago. She's always had her shit together. Always. But we had that big real estate. I think it was in 2009 where they had the real estate um, bubble burst or whatever the case may be, and lots of people, especially realtors, were hit hard. And she had 3 homes, and she was one of those people that were working on building generational wealth. You keep buying property, and then you sell it for high, or that's your rental property or whatever. She was doing that. Drove around in her 7 Series BMW. You know what I'm saying? She sold us our first house, and I wasn't confident at all because I'm like, my husband was like, "Yeah, my cousin's gonna sell us the house." I'm like, "Wait! I don't know. We need a professional." But we let her make it, and we still in this house to this day. But my point is, I remember I came to her house one winter. It was probably like in November or something like that. And one thing I know about me, my sister-in-law, and my favorite cousin is we always cold. We ain't never hot, really. And she hates to be cold. And it took me a minute. I had asked my mother-in-law, I think it was around her birthday actually, and I was like, "What do you think we should get her?" And she was just like, "Well, you know, right now I think she could just use some money." So I go get $200. It's not, we didn't have a lot at the time anyways, but it was like, okay, this is what we could donate, and gave her a card and everything. But I bring all of that up because when I walked in her house, it was ice cold, and it didn't dawn on me until later that, like, why is she sitting in here and it's cold as fuck? It's because her heat was off. And this is a person that owned 4 homes at a time, that went to college, that understands business, that, is constantly trying to elevate, inspiring to me. And I remember being on the phone with her, and, at some point, and she was just like, "I'll be back on time." And I thought, whoa, that level of confidence, like, yeah, this is a bad situation, and, I can't even afford, to cut my heat back on, and I'm not going to ask anybody for anything. All I could give at the time, or me and her cousin, is money. $200. That's what I had that I could, spare, and don't want it back or whatever. It's just take this $200 and do whatever you need to do. A lot of family members, I'm not talking about my family, but a lot of family members, people want to see you fail. They can't wait to go tell the New York, they want to go be eyewitness news on you because you thought you were better, or you think you're better than people, or so I got to think I'm better than you because I want more than you or different than you. No, I don't think I'm better than you. You think I'm better than you. That's an issue you have because I'm not that person. I'm not the person sitting around measuring my accomplishments up against other people's. So whatever, take it or leave it. I feel like it's your loss because I'm a beautiful individual. It just is what it is. Am I right all the time? Absolutely not. Could I do things differently? Yes. Could I be better? Absolutely. But I'm aware of that. I'm aware that I don't always get it right. But it's not, God doesn't have an expectation for us to always get it right. God only wants you to do your best. And nobody can ask you to do better than your best. But she inspired me because she had you know, uh, no doubt that she's going to be back on top. She said it with such confidence. And then a few years ago, she used to work for a bank and had the cushiest job and great 6-figure salary. And me and my little pea brain who think I'm so advanced and I know what's really popping. I remember she was talking to me about how like she's looking for another job, but her job, she didn't worked from home at that job for like 3 years or something like that. Like never had to put miles on her car. You can eat at home and use your own restroom and all of the benefits of that, and could do her job in her sleep. And her job had so many, you know, um, benefits, so to speak, and allows for all kinds of autonomy. And I remember she was calling me up. She's just like, "Yeah, I'm looking for another job. And these people handling me." And I'm like thinking to myself, I know what you make, and it's 6 figures. Why are you looking for another job? Who on earth does that? She already makes 6 figures. You already have your home. You already paid off your car. Why are you looking for another job? Listen, I was wrong. Because now that I look at it, and that's another moment where it's like, I didn't get it at the time because to me it didn't make sense. I'm like, I at the time had to go to work every day, long hours, and people, always on call and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, girl, you crazy. But that was me putting my expectation and my fear of what would happen if I was in that situation. I wouldn't mess it up. That's in my mind, right? I wouldn't mess that up. Who would mess up this 6-figure job because they feel like they deserve more? It's like, what more do you need at the time, right? But then over the years, I realized I'm like, this is why you can share whatever with people, and you should share. Because a lot of people online will be like, well, keep everything you doing to yourself and this, that, and the third. If you have people around you in your life, whether they're your family or not, your friends or whatever, who can't handle you elevating, then you have a big ass problem. You need to clear some of those people out of your life. I'm not saying you got to be mean or disrespectful or none of that, but you shouldn't have to be silent about your accomplishments for fear that someone's gonna want to go try to sabotage you again. I'm the daughter of the highest king, so do whatever you want. Karma's a bitch, and her stripper name is Lakeisha. No, but I'm saying in all seriousness, I was attaching what I thought she should do because it's what I would do in that scenario. And if she listened to me, she would still be at that job making probably $80,000 less than what she's making now. I was the one that was limited in that mindset because, again, society says stay in that comfort, in that comfortable job, and obey those people and whatever else. Don't get too big for your britches. And she's very much like me. I'm very much like her. Why would I be doing that? Why can't I share my accomplishments? Like, I feel like if you gotta dim your light and say you're not doing great, and I'm not saying cockiness and being an asshole about it or a bitch to people and all that. I'm not saying act like you're better than people. What I'm saying is when people are winning, you should congratulate them, and that's what they should expect. Because I can say right now, if she roll up in here with her G wagon or whatever, I'll be like, girl, because I'm not a hater, right? I want everybody to be successful. I know that's just not how our society works. Everybody can't be, professional. I'm not professional. Everybody can't be successful. I said that when I was like 9 years old to a grown up. I'm like, who gonna make the bread and clean the restrooms if everybody rich? Like, it wasn't logical to me at 8 or 9 years old, whenever it was. I think I was 8 or 9. Yeah. How could everybody? Who gonna take care of the people at the hospital? Who gonna clean up? Who's gonna be the janitorial service? Who gonna work at the Taco Bell? If all of us are winning, there's always gonna be haves and have-nots. But don't limit yourself to being a have-not because someone else doesn't believe in you. You go get it. I'm always gonna go get it. You probably ain't gonna ever see me begging or asking anybody to take care of me. I'd rather have 3 jobs that I hate than go next door and be like, "Can you help me pay my rent?" But that's me. I shouldn't apply my ambition and my natural drive to people who are not like me. They're not wired like me. They don't care about that shit. They don't. I care about order. I care about fairness. I care about people at the bottom. I care about people that are at a disadvantage. I'm gonna say this one last thing that I'm gonna get off of here. Like, I'm a hospice social worker, so a hospice medical social worker. Hey, Radiance. Hey, boo. Hey. Um, I'm a hospice social worker, medical social worker, and hospice. What you're dealing with every day of the week is people who are dying. They are dying from a terminal illness, incurable terminal illness. Not in every case, because sometimes people think that they're on. Sometimes people go on hospice and they still survive beyond what the doctors or whomever the experts are said that they would. Right? That does happen, but for the most part, I have to go and talk to people every day about planning their life after death or planning their future. Have you picked out a funeral home? Let me send you, however many cremation, centers that you could talk to. People dealing with grief, people in their house or in wherever it is that the patient is, um, having to prepare for, their mom's death. And the older you get, the more your mortality comes into play. And even if you want to say, oh no, I'm full of life still at 95 years old, that's great. But you know it's coming because probably all your friends that are your age are gone. So you just sitting around looking at, waiting on your time to die. That can cause a big ass depression. It can cause all kinds of things. But those are the type of people that I work with every day. And because of the type of work that I do, it humbles me every single day of the week. It humbles me to know that all the people that I talk to, um, in this particular role, for the most part, are planning their own death and planning their own funeral while they're alive. Let that sink in. And I'm just here trying to help them navigate it as a part of their interdisciplinary team, which is usually a doctor, a religious leader, social worker, nurse, and some other people. trying to make them comfortable, trying to, reassure them, that they can hold it together, whatever it is. It's not for everybody. I'm gonna say it like that. To see death around you all the time. It reminds you of your own, mortality with the quickness. It'll sober your ass right on up. Okay, you think you're going through some shit. How about you? Well, we need to talk about your, critically ill son that has leukemia. You gonna keep it together? It forces you to be grateful. And most of my adult career, really all my adult career, I've been working on behalf of the people who are in foster care, people who have endured some of the worst type of abuse and neglect, and on and on and on. And then people who have intellectual disabilities, mental health, and again, hospice. It sobers you all the way up when you work in a behavioral health hospital with people who say somebody chasing me. Can you imagine? I can't. I don't want to. I don't want to imagine. But it's a lot that people have going on in their families and in their day-to-day life. And the point of my message here is to give people grace. If you don't always get it right, have a little bit of grace for the other people that don't always get it right. Take time out to be grateful that you have a house, a husband, a boyfriend, or someone that loves you, whether that's just your children, whatever it is. Give people a little bit of grace. Allow them space to be who they are and not be perfect. Allow them space. I deal with a whole bunch of people that are, or have dealt with a whole bunch of people who are delusional. It's like it's delusions of grandeur. It's not my job to judge them because their actions are very delusional. But that's their actions, and they're gonna either reap the reward or suffer the consequences. Just is what it is. So to me, my philosophy in life is I wake up to win. I don't wake up to tear people down and tell them about all the shit that they're doing wrong in their life and why you still with this person and that person and he using you. I listen to you and I can have empathy for you. I'm not sitting around judging those people. Yes, I wouldn't do it. I couldn't put up with that. But I'm me and you're you. And since I like being me, I'm gonna let you be you, judgment free. Unless you being you is endangering other people's lives in some way like that. I'm not gonna be down with that. But I'm saying in general, you don't know. None of us know what someone else is thinking. They could say so much, but you don't know 100% what someone else is thinking. You don't know if that person's sitting on the edge, ready to jump off the plane. If one more thing goes wrong, you don't know. A lot of people don't know what it takes to, have that humility because they can't sleep in their car no more because, you know, they don't have money. They lost their job, and now they lost their car, and now they down here with their 3 kids at the homeless shelter. Can you imagine how that would humble you? And then when they finally get their life back together, because you don't know what it took them to come all the way back from the bottom, you criticize, oh, why are you spending that much money on this and you don't have your priorities in straight? Listen, I've been struggling for 4 years, okay, with 3 jobs and 3 kids. And now I'm finally on top and I got a little money in my savings and I want to go do something for myself. Leave me the hell alone. I like being me. So that's why I'm going to let you be you. That's not your cup of tea. And that's not how you would have, done it. That's fine too. Good. You don't think I should be spending money flying around the world? Good. That's on you. That's what me and my husband like to do. Go see the world. It's a big ass world out here. There's a lot going on. Way more going on than what's happening here in Houston, Texas. It just is what it is. So I'm not going to allow anybody, whoever they are, you know, to steal my or dim my light or steal my power away. I'm just not gonna give you. I'm not. I won't be surrendering that part of my soul for anybody. Be very clear. I'm just not. And it could be because I'm almost 50 and I'm out of give a fucks a lot of time. Because I promise y'all, I'm gonna say this one last thing, and then I am sincerely getting off of here. But like, I know that I'm a different person than I used to be. Because as empathetic and understanding as I can be and am all the damn time, and all the grace that I give people, my patience is listen. I ain't virtue. Listen, patience has never been my virtue. I hate waiting. I hate people that's late. I don't hate them, but I disdain them. And whatever. People are who they are, right? But it's just kind of like, listen, you be you. I like being me, and I want everybody to just extend some grace to their brethren. You know, you only got to take it one step at a time, one day at a time. It's not always gonna be peaches and cream, but what's the point of sitting around and telling yourself this is I'm stupid, I'm old, I'm this, I'm that. Read everything you put into your mind and your body. You're speaking it into being, and that's why I always say, I listen. I stay winning. It's not a flex. It's just the truth. I do. I don't need nobody to tell me to get up. One day I decided I've done social work for so long, and I ain't trying to wait till the director dies off, or I ain't trying to wait until they move, they retire to be in the director seat. I got to go take matters into my own hands because like I've said 1,000 times, am made for 5-star hotels and room service. So I'm not sitting around hoping somebody might give me something. I'm going to go get it. But even though that's how I am, I can't expect you to have that same drive. I expect people to be who they are. It's not going to all make sense. It ain't. And I ain't always right because I'm telling you. Went to Hawaii and I'm like, what do y'all mean y'all closed? Like they just listen, that saying island time, they on their own damn time. I'm like, I wanted to come have seafood tonight. What you mean y'all don't have nothing? Like, don't get me started. But again, that's my patience and my expectations. And it's like these people on this island or these various islands that me and my husband have been to, they have the right attitude. They like, I ain't rushing in this rat race. Listen, and we over here, we rushing in a damn rat race. Gotta be here on this time. Gotta go. And it's like, I wish that I had that type of mentality where it's just kind of like there's no routines in life. I don't have that. But what I learned from them multiple times is like just because you think the right way to do it is to make everybody come to work every day at this time, they got to be on time, and you're gonna fire them because you want your business to run. And what about your profit and all this, that, and the third? Those things are all great, and I like order, right? We need it. We all need somebody to put us in check or tell us when we could do better at something. But I think oftentimes people want to apply how they view life to everybody else, and anybody who disagrees is crazy. How am I wrong for wanting more than what you want? You're not wrong for wanting less. Let's keep it a buck. My husband is not grandiose. He is not like me in any shape, form, or fashion. He isn't. He's very practical, reasonable, logical. He knows who he married. His wife, I remember he told me this when we were in our 20s. He was like, you're destined for greatness. And I just want to be, on the ride with you. I'm 21 years old. Like, yo, gassing me all the way the fuck up. I mean, I already knew that. You know what I'm saying? I already knew that. But my point is, that's love. And that's why I mean, like, when I say, I'm not going to hate on you if you drive up in your new car, got a better job, I'm going to celebrate you. That's how I am. And I'm not going to put people in my life that it's, it's difficult for them to celebrate me. Just understand everybody ain't your friend, and you don't need to be friends with everybody, but you also don't need to take advice from everybody or let other people's, advice or choices influence what you want for your life. You should set the rules for your life. What do I want? What don't I want? And all of us, it takes time to heal, to process, to learn, to get it right. We're always going to be messing it up for the rest of our lives, according to someone. And a lot of times it's according to ourselves because the self talk is so important. Like I said, whatever you put out there, whatever you're saying, it's gonna eventually become your life. So if you constantly talking about negativity or this person and that person and everything everybody else's fault, you're gonna be still in that same position next year. And I feel this way. If you keep running into the same scenario, in my opinion, you haven't learned your lesson. And so God is bringing it right on back to you. You haven't learned your lesson. So keep picking the wrong guy and settling for whatever. That's on you. Those are the decisions you're making. And the way I see it is every second is another opportunity to change life. You just gotta want it enough and stick with it. And whatever your goals are, they need to be specific. They need to be measurable. They need to be attainable. They need to be uh, what's the right word? Oh, there's a word for it. I can't even think of it. Reasonable and time bound. You can't set it. Listen, a goal without a plan and action is just a dream. That's not saying you have to do it in the way that other people are doing it. You don't have to graduate in 4 years because society tells you if you don't, then something's wrong with you. No, make your own lane. Interrupt the fucking market. It just is what it is. That's probably the only thing I agree with Kanye West. He came through. He said, "I'm about to interrupt this market. Adidas, y'all don't want to give me what I want. I'm gonna put my own shit out, and I'm gonna charge people obnoxious amounts of money for this bullshit." And I ain't mad at him. He's an artist. I'm mad at him for everything else. But that lane, we agree. Now gonna tell me what I can do and what I can't do. And like I said before, why am I scurrying to sit at your table? I got my own fucking table. You need to be scurrying to sit at mine. Now that was shady, but it's true of who I am, not everybody else. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for being a part of my little chat this morning. I gotta go. I gotta go see my client now. Plus, I said I was gonna get some breakfast, but I have a thanks, my love. I have a right now. I'm addicted to those mozzarella sticks. They're Burger King sales, so that's probably where I'm going. I need to be okay, but it is what it is, right? So thank you guys. Like I said, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new here and you like the content that you are consuming. Then hit that notification button so you'll know anytime I go live or upload or whatever's going on. Um, you can become part of Chanel's reality. I'm Chanel, and this is my reality. Bye, guys. Go be great. Love y'all.